Welcome to the 2021 NFL offseason. That's right, the 2020 season is officially in the past. Time to start looking into the future. I'm going to be going over every single NFL team's offseason and previewing or reviewing, depending on how long it takes me to get through all 32 teams one by one, step by step, team by team. And in this new video series, I'm going to be going over what I would do if I was the GM of these teams in the offseason to improve the team, looking at each team's strengths and weaknesses and addressing them in free agency, in the draft, re-sign period, and all of the above. This week's episode is on, you guessed it, your Los Angeles Chargers and my Los Angeles Chargers. But first, hit that intro.
I gave you fair warning, beware. Smack him in the mouth.
For the end zone, it is up for the touchdown.
Smack him in the mouth. I gave you fair warning, beware. I'll smack him in the mouth.
You are listening to the newest installment of the Mike on the Mic Sports YouTube channel. I am Mike, and I am on the mic of the most electrifying sports YouTube channel in the game today. How's it going, everyone? Good to see you again on the channel. It's been a couple days since I've uploaded a video. Excited to get into this new series where I will be going over every single NFL team's needs and how to address that, or how I would address it personally if I was the GM of these teams. Now, a disclaimer, I'm not a GM of any NFL team, and there's a reason for it. All of these offseason previews or reviews, depending on how far along we are in the offseason when I get to the team that is selected in the comment section below, are going to be kind of dream scenarios. So just keep that in the back of your mind as I go through this. Going to be making some insane moves, trying to entertain you, as well as fix these teams or maintain success for some of these teams. Now, before I get into the Los Angeles Chargers offseason, 2 seconds to help change my life, get me one step closer to the ultimate goal of achieving 1,000 subscribers. So please, please, please tap the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and leave a comment which team you'd like to see featured in these off-season preview/review videos next on the Mike on the Mic Sports YouTube channel, because I'm trying to do all 32 teams. But let's be realistic. There's only so much time in an off-season to get through all 32 teams. We'll see if I can pull it off, because I'm also be talking NBA and MLB on the side while we do this new series. So thank you for hitting the subscribe button. Let's get into the Los Angeles Chargers. Let's get into the video. Welcome to the offseason, Los Angeles Chargers edition.
I was in. Touchdown's already been.
All right, first I want to look at the Los Angeles Chargers issues and needs. What are our problems? What do we need to address this offseason? What is our main goals here on how we're going to improve from a 7-9 team to a 10+ win team and hopefully a playoff team in 2021. Biggest one to me is the offensive line. The Chargers offensive line was awful last year. Justin Herbert's ability to get out of the pocket and his pocket awareness was elite last year as a rookie already. And to get away from pressure and still make these throws down the field the way he did was extremely impressive. But let's make it easier on him. Let's address this offensive line this offseason. The Chargers' motto over the last couple seasons, but mostly last year, was blowing big leads in the second half. And a lot of that has to do with, one, defensive scheme, obviously, which is going to be a lot different under new coach Brandon Staley. Two, the lack of speed at the defensive back position, specifically the corner position, giving up big plays late in games when teams feel like they need to take a lot of shots to come back in games. So we're going to address the speed at defensive back issue. Honestly, I want to kind of outhaul the entire defensive backfield with the aging Casey Hayward, aging Chris Harris Jr., but we'll see what I can do as I dig into free agency and the trade market. We're going to be looking over that as well. And the final big need I want to address is depth at the linebacker position. And you may ask why, because we do have decent linebackers and Kenneth Murray, who's going to be an emerging linebacker, in my opinion, in the league. The reason being, I think the Chargers are honestly going to be switching to a 3-4 defense this next year. Similar to what the Los Angeles Rams ran in Los Angeles with Staley as their defensive coordinator, which was the #1 defense in football last year. The Chargers need a lot of depth at linebacker to run that style of defense and need a lot of hybrid linebackers that can pass rush and drop back in coverage, and just the Chargers don't have that right now. So we're going to be looking for some linebackers that are going to help that transition period go a little smoother. Now, those are some issues and needs that the Chargers need to try and look at acquiring. I'll say some strength for the Chargers. We have strength at the quarterback position, obviously. Justin Herbert on his rookie contract for the next 4 years. Yes, 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 yes. Then, of course, the Chargers kind of famously known for having a lot of strength at the defensive line position. Joey Bosa, Linval Joseph, Melvin Ingram. But I'm still going to be tweaking the D-line a little bit to fit the 3-4 defense that I assume the Chargers are switching to, which is going to include the linebackers coming down and doing a lot of pass rushing compared to last year. And honestly, a lot of people are saying that the Chargers should be looking at acquiring a free safety to go with Derwin James. A lot of rumors about Earl Thomas earlier in the season. Dodged that bullet. But in my opinion, I love Rashawn Jenkins as a free safety. I think he's a very good tackler. He's good at coming down into the box and helping out with run stop. And he's good enough in coverage. I believe he actually has a couple interceptions over the last couple of years. I believe in Rashawn Jenkins to keep improving and being a good safety on this team. And Nasir Adderley is developing as well. We haven't really seen what he can do yet just because of injuries and then last year's debacle with Gus Bradley at defense coordinator. So I'm going to say that we're pretty solid at the safety position because we have Derwin James coming back. All right, we've identified what the Chargers' needs really are, what the weaknesses of the team are, what we need to address this offseason, and we've identified some of the strength things that we can bank on being okay next year as it is right now. So first off, let's look at the re-sign period, which is coming up here in a couple of days, actually. And here's some players I'm kind of letting walk. Chargers fans, non-Chargers fans, bear with me. There's reasons for letting these guys walk. I know there's some big names, some guys that we're probably attached to as Chargers fans. And all three guys that we have drafted and are veterans on this team. So first guy I'm going to let walk is Melvin Ingram. Now, I love Melvin Ingram as much as the next guy. Not really, actually. But there's some behind-the-scenes stories about that if you guys want to hit me up. Melvin Ingram, in my opinion, is aging very quickly and is dealing with a lot of injuries. He's going to have a price tag of around $10 million, and it's just not worth it. It's just plain not worth it for the Chargers to bring him back. One more strong at D-line. We, in reality, don't need him. I believe in Jason Tillery to fill his spot, but I'm also going to address that kind of edge rusher / linebacker position in free agency. The next one I'm going to let walk is Denzel Perryman. Now, this is another guy where I want to give a disclaimer. I know as Chargers fans, we probably like Denzel Perryman. Very tenacious guy, Tasmanian devil type of play style. He is a solid linebacker and a pretty good tackler. Just he hasn't stayed healthy, and he hasn't really produced at the level that we need him to produce to fit into this 3-4 defense. I don't think he's strong enough in pass coverage, and I don't think he's a strong enough pass rusher. I think he's kind of in between the two, and he's just an average linebacker in the league right now who can make some big plays as far as big hits. So we're going to let Denzel Perryman walk. And here is the big one. Brace for impact. Brace for impact.
Oh my God! Okay, it's happening. Everybody stay calm.
What's the procedure, everyone? What's the procedure?
Stay calm!
I'm going to let Hunter Henry walk this offseason. Now, I know there's a lot of talk of us using the franchise tag on him once again, but I think we're just delaying the inevitable. If the Chargers were going to sign Hunter Henry when they signed Keenan Allen, when they signed Joey Bosa, when they signed Austin Eckler, all the big deals, they would have gone ahead and locked down Hunter Henry as well. We have the cap space to do it. But the Chargers didn't. They franchise tagged him. They delayed the negotiations, which tells me they're trying to get a deal on Hunter Henry, and Hunter Henry wants his money. I mean, Hunter Henry probably sees how his career's gone so far and how easily you can get hurt in the NFL and how easily a season can be taken away from you, and he wants his money now because this is his first chance to cash in and get a big payday. Hunter Henry's going to be demanding anywhere from $10 to $12 million. If we let him go to the market, it's probably going to cost us $12, $13 million. That's up there with the big name tight ends, guys. That's up there with the top 3, top 5 tight ends in the league. I don't think Hunter Henry is quite that level. I love Hunter Henry. My wife's favorite player is Hunter Henry, and it's going to suck to see him go. But financially for this team and some moves you're going to see me make later on in the video. And I think adding a tight end with a little bit more speed for a little bit cheaper is going to fit into our offense a little bit better than Hunter Henry and what our offense I think is about to morph into. Sorry I keep saying our. I told myself I wasn't going to do that. I am a Chargers fan. disclaimer. That's why I'm doing this team first, because I know a lot about the Chargers off-season situations. But leave a comment which team you want to see me do next. I'm honestly open to any suggestions except for the Las Vegas Raiders. Just kidding. I'll cover the Raiders if you guys want to do the Raiders. But anyways, the price tag on Henry for what he brings to the offense, not quite lining up to me. So I'm going to let Hunter Henry walk this year and stop delaying the inevitable. All right, now let's go to who we're going to re-sign, some of these expiring contracts. Mike Davis, I want to re-sign him, cornerback. I think that he keeps that speed part of the cornerback position. He can be a solid CB3 and just a depth guy in the future. I actually have a lot of high hopes for Mike Davis. I'd like to see him continue to develop a little bit further. And for how cheap we can get him at this point in time, I think it's worth re-signing and bringing him back for sure. I say we bring Nick Vigil back, coming off of a season filled with a lot of injury, a lot of uncertainty. He was very good with Cincinnati Bengals as a scraper and a tackler, and that's exactly what we need in the interior linebacker position. And I think he also can get after the quarterback via the blitz. I think he's a great depth guy for our linebacker position as well. I've been so up and down about Forrest Lamp in his career. He shows signs of being great, being exactly what we thought he was going to be when we drafted him all those years ago. But he also has dealt with a lot of injury problems and some inconsistent play as well. I think that he still has some potential. I'm going to bring Forrest Lamp back just to get a cheap option to fill one of these line spots. You can't replace the entire 5-man offensive line in one offseason. It's damn near impossible. So we're going to bring him back to fill one of those spots. At the very minimum, be a second-string lineman for one of these positions if we need to fill it. I'm a big fan of Jalen Watkins personally, so I'm bringing Jalen Watkins back. Also, keep the depth at safety. Like I said, we're strong at the safety position. I'd like to stay that way in case one of these guys go down. I think Jalen Watkins can be an excellent developmental piece. And bring back Isaac Rochelle. He's a fan favorite. He's a leader in the locker room. He seems like he's a great guy. And he makes plays, man. He has limited playing time the last couple of years just because he's been a backup. But when he is on the field, he makes plays. Literally swatted a pass down that won us the game versus the Las Vegas Raiders last season. Want to bring Isaac Rochelle back as one of our linemen as we shift into the 3-4. Going to be used a lot more heavily, but still is kind of a depth guy. So after the re-sign period, looking at our cap space, we're at around $15 million. Now you're probably thinking that's not that much, but that is actually very good because I'm going to make some cap clearing moves and some tough cuts. So a big one, the big one. A big one. Cutting defensive tackle Linval Joseph. Now, I know I was raving about our D-line at the beginning of the video, and I brought up Linval's name, and he still is a very good run stopper. We need some more diversity on that D-line to run that Rams style of defense. Brandon Staley made a living off of the combination of Aaron Donald and his defensive line and linebackers getting after the quarterback with speed and strength in the secondary. That together is a deadly weapon in the NFL that can almost shut down any offense. And Linval Joseph just isn't the athlete that we need to fill that position. I think Jerry Tiller can be that guy. He can be that athlete. I mean, he is no Aaron Donald, but he's got the strength, speed, and size to impact at the defensive tackle position that we need. He also can bump outside if we need him to bump outside and play end. So we're going to cut Linval Joseph. And here are some trade outs. We're going to be going over trade ins after the free agency period, but here are some trade outs. This one's tough for me because Casey Hayward's been one of my favorite players for the last couple of years, honestly. But trading Casey Hayward out will save us around $10 million. And we need the money.
I have a structured settlement and I need cash now.
So we're trading Casey Hayward away to any suitor that needs him. I'm looking at the Eagles, I'm looking at the Lions, I'm looking at one of these teams that have young defensive backs that are trying to develop, and Casey Hayward can kind of play a mentor role to them. For a fifth-round pick just to get that cap off of our books and onto someone else. And the final trade out that I'll be trying to do to clear some cap is Trey Turner. Look, when we signed Trey Turner, I was very excited. I was like, hey, we got Bulaga, we got Turner. Our offensive line has to be fixed, right? Wrong. Trey Turner could not stay healthy, and even when he was out there, his play was shoddy. He looked like he kind of fell out of shape when he was injured, and he just wasn't the same guy that he was in Carolina. I think a team would take a shot on him because it's so scarce to find offensive linemen available on the trade market, and we'll sell him for extremely cheap because he's going to clear $11.5 million. Trading for a fourth-round pick, if we get anything more than that, I'll be ecstatic, or if we can get 2 late-round picks, I'll be ecstatic, but really just trying to get him off our books, clear some cap so we can go hard in free agency and in the trade market. All right, our new cap space is $30 to $35 million approximately. Now we can do some business.
Ben, how's business?
Bowman.
I like that.
Let's get to work. So in free agency, here's some signings I want to go after. Here's some signings that I would do if I was the GM, I should say. I would go ahead and lock down center Corey Lindsey. He's a very solid center, and I think he's probably our best option to replace Mike Pouncey this offseason. And the center position is very underrated and one of the most important positions on a football team. Now, he's going to cost us around $9 or $10 million. It's going to come with a price. Maybe we can get him to take a pay cut to reunite with Brian Bulaga. Yes, we basically are signing the entire Green Bay Packers offensive line. Bakatari, come on over, buddy. But I think reuniting Lindsey with Brian Bulaga is going to go a long way for helping our offensive line and starting to work on fixing our offensive line. Now we're going to have two linebackers come in to help that transition to 3-4, like I was saying. Outside linebacker, Leonard Floyd. He's been attached to the Chargers a lot, especially being a Rams player, and we just took the Rams defensive coordinator and made him our head coach. Not sure if the Rams can afford or want to re-sign Leonard Floyd. His career has been completely fixed over there in Los Angeles. He actually was with Staley in Chicago as well, and had a lot of high hopes over there, and now going to Los Angeles, revitalizing his career. I think he's worth the pickup. He is exactly the guy that we need on the edge, pass rushing / dropping back in coverage. He's not too bad at that either. And I think he'd be a great option to replace Melvin Ingram as the starter in that position. Only problem is he's going to be a little expensive since he did have an amazing year last year on that defensive line, costing us around $13 million. But I think it's going to be well worth it. It's a big part of this defense. It's a big part of this scheme, and having those edge rushers and pass rushers to get after the quarterback, and your secondary being speedy, opportunistic, and aggressive. Also, I think we can get outside linebacker Anthony Walker Jr. Showed a little bit of promise with the Indianapolis Colts the last couple of seasons. Looks like he's going to be walking away from them. We can get him for cheap, and he'd be a good depth guy to add to this team as far as the outside linebacker position. Very important to stack up on that position this year. And my final free agency acquisition is actually going to be cornerback William Jackson from the Cincinnati Bengals. Now the Cincinnati Bengals may re-sign him. And if they do, I'd like to go Troy Hill from the Los Angeles Rams. Yeah, let's just bring the whole #1 defense over. Let's just bring them all over and just bring them to the other part of LA. It's not even that far. It's down the road. We share the same stadium. But really, I want to see us target William Jackson. He's entering his prime. I think he's going to be a very good corner over the next couple of years, and the perfect guy to add speed to this secondary, like I said, and be counter to a guy I'm going to acquire. Spoilers. Also, he kind of replaces the Casey Hayward hole that we're going to lose when we trade him away. Now, in free agency, I went heavy at acquiring guys that are going to help us transition to this 3-4 defense and help our defense be exactly what we know it can be in 2021. These are all moves that Coach Staley and the defensive coaching staff are probably all going to love. But after these moves, we still need to address the offensive line a little bit more, and we still need to make some moves for the secondary. We got about $5 million left in cap. I know that's a little bit, but I got a move for you that's going to help us clear some more cap to acquire some more talent. And that's going to be trading Mike Williams and a 3rd-round draft pick for Ravens offensive tackle Orlando Brown Jr. Orlando Brown Jr. has basically demanded a trade from the Baltimore Ravens. He's one of the up-and-coming tackles in the NFL. The only problem with acquiring him is the Ravens need wide receiver. We're not giving them Keenan Allen. I don't think they have too much interest in Jalen Guyton or Tyron Johnson. And those are guys I kind of want to fill out our receiving core in 2021 and step up to the plate and be the guys I think they can be. So we got to send Mike Williams. But the problem is Mike Williams comes with, 1, he doesn't have a contract for 2022, and 2, he's going to cost the Ravens $16 million. So I'm sending the 3rd-round draft pick with Mike Williams to cover that $15 million gap that we're going to be throwing on them by acquiring Orlando Brown Jr., who also needs a contract, rightfully so, but he's getting paid a little bit over $1 million this year. And then another trade, I'm not done on the defense yet. I'm going to trade a 2nd-round pick, a 4th-round pick, and a 5th-round pick for cornerback Marshawn Lattimore of the New Orleans Saints.
What?
Now, we cleared $15 million with the Mike Williams deal and getting him off the books, which opens up the cap to make a big move like this. The Chargers have to look at this window where we have Justin Herbert on a rookie contract. We have Keenan Allen locked down. We have Joey Bosa locked down. We're about to lock down Derwin James. Austin Eckler is along for the ride. This is a window where you go all in. This is a window where you go balls to the wall. You just got the new head coach. You know that he can put together an amazing defense if you give him the talent to do it. And I think that this move will make the Chargers the best defense in football. Now, it's a little bit of a reach, but the Saints would be willing to trade him, in my opinion. And I think Marshawn Lattimore is going to get traded this season. I don't know if it's going to be to the Chargers. It's kind of wishfully thinking. But the Saints are entering cap. All these big contracts they've been handing out to try and get Drew Brees that final ring are all coming to a head at the same time, and they got to make moves or they're going to be cap strapped for 10 years. So I think Marshawn Lattimore, who's on the last year of his deal, he needs a contract. The Saints aren't going to be able to re-sign him to big money like he's going to want. So I think this makes sense for them to trade Marshawn Lattimore this offseason, or at least before the trade deadline. That's also why it's kind of going for cheap, because I think the Saints are going to be handicapped. I think their hands are going to be tied at a certain point here, and they're going to be forced to trade Marshawn Lattimore. I mean, the second, fourth, and the fifth round picks, a lot for a guy that you have to trade. And with that deal, we still are in a positive cap situation. We're going to have around $10 million left over, and we can use that in a multitude of ways in the next offseason. We can use that to re-sign our own players. We got to sign Derwin James, Orlando Brown Jr. now, Marshawn Lattimore. Having that positive cap situation, so important to try and remain in the positive. Also, moving on to the NFL draft. We've been aggressive all offseason. We've been aggressive in free agency. We've been aggressive in the trade market, trading players away and bringing players in that fit the team better now that we are transitioning to a new head coach and a new scheme. So why not be aggressive in the NFL draft? I think we are building a win now squad with the moves that I've already made this offseason, so why not continue down that road? So during the NFL draft, blockbuster trade. I'm trading Chris Harris Jr., 2021 13th overall pick and a 2022 second round pick for the 10th overall pick, moving up 3 slots to draft tight end Kyle Pitts.
Pow.
And with this move, this will practically be the only pick of the draft, especially on day one, unless the Chargers trade into the third and second round later. But I think while we're going in, go all in, put the chips in. Look, guys, I know, especially if you're a Chargers fan watching this, I assume a lot of Chargers fans are probably going to want to watch this. Kyle Pitts, in my opinion, is the second best prospect in this draft. And the only reason he's second is because Trevor Lawrence is a phenomenal quarterback. That's the only reason. Kyle Pitts has potential like you would not even realize. And when it comes to getting a generational talent like Kyle Pitts, you go for it. You just go for it. The opportunity is going to be there, and I think the Cowboys or the Broncos or any of those teams that are right there in that range that aren't going to be looking at tight end possibly would be willing to trade down to still draft a cornerback. Both those teams, I think, are going to be looking for cornerbacks in the draft this year. And since I re-signed Mike Davis, I signed William Jackson and traded for Marshawn Lattimore, we don't need a cornerback. So they can feel safe that a cornerback's going to slide to them at 13 still, because we're not taking a cornerback. We're taking tight end Kyle Pitts. The dude's 6'6" and can fly down the field like a receiver. No linebacker in the NFL today, I don't think, is covering this man. It is definitely worth it. And if we're going to keep up with a team like the Kansas City Chiefs, we need big playmakers, like big-time playmakers. Kyle Pitts is going to be a big-time playmaker in the NFL. I think Kyle Pitts is going to be one of the best tight ends in the NFL after year one. I am very, very confident that Kyle Pitts is already a top 5 tight end in the NFL, and that is a bold statement. So you can go ahead and clip it, save it for later, and you'll know that Mike and the Mike told you so one day, because, you know, this is unlikely that the Chargers are going to trade up and get him. I think he does go around 9, 10, maybe as early as 8, maybe as late as 11. I don't think he slides to us at 13, which is why I'm trading up to get him. So, in conclusion, we addressed fixing our offensive line. That was a big need going into this offseason. We signed Corey Linsley. We also acquired Orlando Brown Jr. via trade from the Baltimore Ravens. We added some speed and some strength to our secondary by acquiring Marshawn Lattimore, as well as signing William Jackson. And then, of course, re-signing Mike Davis as our cornerback 3. He's a very solid option for those sets where we got extra defensive backs on the field. We built a ton of depth at linebacker through re-signing Nick Vigil and through free agency. And then I think we drafted a generational talent in Kyle Pitts in the NFL draft. Got a commercial playing here. Great. And we did all of that while maintaining a positive cap situation. My work here is done. Leave a comment what you think of some of the moves that I placed for the Chargers. Once again, take it with a grain of salt. This is a super dream scenario. This will be one of the most aggressive off seasons in Los Angeles Chargers history if they pulled something off like this. But look to see one or two of these moves realistically happening. I could see Marshawn Lattimore getting traded. Maybe not the Los Angeles Chargers. I could see Orlando Brown Jr. getting traded. In fact, I think he could go to the Los Angeles Chargers. Signing Corey Linsley makes a lot of sense to me, so I could see that happening. And signing Leonard Floyd, I could really realistically see the Chargers making that move. Now, the trade up in the draft would be crazy, but if Kyle Pitts slides to us and we get him at 13, that's an absolute steal. Throw us in jail, man. Hope you enjoyed the video. Leave a like, leave a comment, like I said, which team you want to see me go over next, and some moves that specific team can make to improve this offseason and take the next step. If you want more from me, check me out on any social media platform, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. Mike on the Mic Sports across the board. Easy to find. It'll be the logos that you see here on this video, somewhere in one of these corners. Also, if you want to join Team Mike, get yourself a Team Mike on the Mic t-shirt jersey. Head over to FridayNightWars.com. Speaking of Friday Night Wars, this is the hottest sports debate show on YouTube today, where myself and Joe Morley go at it every Friday night. And currently I'm losing by a couple of wins. So I'd really appreciate if you guys head over and subscribe to that channel, Friday Night Wars on YouTube, and vote for Mike every time it comes up. Also, there's a lot of big things coming to that channel, so you guys aren't going to want to miss it. We're putting together some awesome stuff over there on Friday Night Wars. All right, I think that's it. That's all the cheap plugs I got in my arsenal today. I am Mike, and I am on the mic, and this is me saying, until next time.
I gave you fair warning, beware, beware.
Smack him in the mouth.
I gave you fair warning, beware, beware.
Smack him in the mouth.
I gave you fair